In today's video, I will be sharing with you some beautiful farmhouse home decor DIYs using some Dollar Tree items. I do have two versions on how to decorate this, so please stay tuned and you'll see how. My first DIY will be this beautiful decorative window. For the planter, I will be using this beautiful galvanized planter that Dollar Tree carries. The first thing I will be doing is I'm going to drill 2 holes to this planter. You don't have to use a drill. I ended up messing this up, so I did have to make other holes in the other side, and I used a box cutter and it worked just fine. I'm going to give this one coat of this white acrylic paint. I didn't do it perfect. I wanted some of the galvanized to show, so that's what I did. I then went ahead and used a Dollar Tree scent sheet and sanded the letters and around the planter. Then I decided to add a little bit of the antique wax, and this is where I messed up. I added way too much on the side that I really wanted to use, the side with the no holes, but I made it work. So yeah, just make sure you use a light hand if you want to distress this. I did try to fix it by adding more acrylic paint and sanding it a little bit more after that, but it did not work. I like one side better, and guess what? I like the side that didn't have the holes, so I did have to make some holes on the other side. But to cover them holes, I added some not nautical rope. I added some jute string all around the top, and I didn't glue them. I actually used them little holes to tie them in, and like that, if I want to remove them, I can. But I really like how this turned out. It looks so much better in person. The next thing I will be doing is I'm going to make the window, and I did use 4 of the paint sticks. I got these from Lowe's, 3 come in a pack for $1. I cut the handle part off of all 4 of them, and to one of them I cut it in half, and the other 2 I left them just like that. And to the 4th one, I cut it in half by vertical ways, and I used a box cutter to cut this. And then once I had slid the box cutter through several times, I then used my hands to take it apart. And as you can see, there is some splints, so I did go and remove them with my scissors. The next thing I did was I painted all of the sticks with the white acrylic paint, and I used a light hand, and once I was done painting them, I used a damp napkin. I'm going to remove some of the paint off, and this is going to make it look more rustic and old, and the details of the wood are going to show more. There's 2 different ways you can glue this together. You can use a glue gun, and then for extra support put some popsicle sticks on the back, or you can use wood glue. But since I wanted to finish this video today, I decided to use hot glue. And because I am using hot glue to make this more sturdy, I'm going to use the little handle parts off that I removed from the paint sticks and glue them to the back. I'm going to glue the X in the middle, and to both sticks I did cut off a little bit like this sideways so they can fit perfectly in the window. but to one of them I cut off a little bit more. So then I had to use a piece of paint stick, another piece of paint stick, and like attach it to it and like this. But then once it was glued and I went over it and painted with white paint, and you can hardly tell I messed up. But yeah, next thing I will be doing is attaching the planter to this, and I will be using the Dollar Tree zip ties. If you don't have zip ties, you can always use some jute string to tie these. I also decided to add this metal home sign. I think these are new at Dollar Tree, and it is pretty big and I love it. So I'm going to tie it to the window like that. If I get tired of this decor, I can always take it apart and use the window in another different way. By the way, these metal signs already have holes, so it's easier to hang them. I don't have a clip, but what I did after is I distressed the window using some antique wax. And that is it for this beautiful decorative window. You can use it so many different ways. You can use it standing up, or you can hang it by the wall. For my second DIY, I will be showing you how I did this beautiful windmill stand. This is absolutely my favorite. I have done one of these last year, but different, and I've been wanting to do one with the windmill the Dollar Tree carries. And for this DIY, I'm going to use 4 Dollar Tree dowels. These come 12 in a pack, and I'm going to use this garden windmill I got from Dollar Tree. And this piece of wood, this one I already had. You don't have a piece of wood like I already do, you can always use the ones Dollar Tree carries. I will be working on the windmill first, so I'm going to remove the front piece so then I can pull it back, and it's so much easier to remove the back piece like this. The next thing I will be doing is I'm going to galvanize this or re-galvanize it, because this is already galvanized but with a touch of blue. And I will be using the Waverly chalk paint and elephant, steel, and silver lining. I'm going to start off with the silver lining first, and I'm using the stipple paintbrush. I'm just going to tap 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 all around the windmill, and then I'm going to let it dry and then go over it with the elephant. And don't forget the small little front piece. Once that was dry, I went over it with the color steel, and I did repeat the same steps until I like how it looked. I am also painting a little bit of the blades on the back and on one side only. That is because I am not leaving this windmill flat like this. I am going to bend the blades. The gray or whatever color this thing was won't show, and it will show like the front. And that is it for the windmill. Now I'm going to work on the stand and the tower part. So I am going to cut the third windmill. I am going to cut the third dowel and make different little pieces to make this. I don't know what this is called, but yeah. And you can make a Z only, so you can only use 3 dowels, but since I wanted to make the X, I used a little bit of the 4th dowel. I will be painting all the parts with the Waverly antique wax, and as you can see, this piece of wood already had 2 holes, one on each side. If you are using the piece of wood the Dollar Tree carries, you can always drill some holes like that. When you add the dowels, the tower will be more sturdy. I decided to paint the round part of the windmill with the antique wax just to match the rest of the tower and the stand. I also made like a circle in the little piece, this little piece, so like that it matches. The next thing I will be doing is I'm going to bend the blades a little bit like this, and it's going to make it look so much better. Now that everything's nice and dry, I'm going to put everything together, and I'm going to start off with the stand and adding the 2 dowels in the holes, and I'm using some hot glue. You can use some wood glue to make this way sturdier, but I'm using hot glue, and I'm adding some more hot glue to the bottom of the holes just to fill them in. Then I'm going to add some hot glue at the top, and I'm going to hold both of the dowels together until it dries. Once it's dry, I'm going to add a lot of hot glue and then put the windmill on top. As you can see, the windmill has this little piece in the back, so I'm going to put it like on top of the sticks, and then I'm going to add a lot of hot glue around it just so it can be nice and secure. But I was afraid it was going to fall eventually, so I decided to add some jute string around it just to tie it around everything together. And you won't be able to see the jute string when I add the front piece to it. And voila, you can hardly tell there is jute string in the back. The next thing I did was glue the middle piece of the tower, and I didn't angle my camera right, but all I did was add 2 pieces going across. Last minute changes. What I did, instead of using the dowel, I'm going to use this Dollar Tree skewer stick and make the X instead. Once it's glued down, I'm going to paint it using the antique wax. The only reason I switched them was because I accidentally cut the other ones wrong and I didn't want to waste any more dowels, so that's why. And that is it for this beautiful windmill. Next, I'm going to show you how you can use all of these separately. The only thing I did to the planter was added some wood beads at the bottom. The beauty of this window is that you can use it horizontal too. I added this beautiful wreath I made of a Dollar Tree toy and some Walmart greenery. I will leave the link down in the description box. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time. Bye.